The deep feminine leader does not bypass the void in order to make other people happy or pleased, or in order to keep up with anyone or anything. When the void presents itself to the deep feminine leader, she dives headfirst straight in, knowing that those who have trusted her to guide them, she will keep those people under her wings. She will continue to guide them, whether she is in the void or whether she is in the heights. The deep feminine leader can guide, lead, and heal no matter where she is. It is simply different flavors of perfectly aligned power depending on where she is. So when she's in the void, she leads her clients with a level of depth and wisdom that is undeniable and shocking, honestly. Beautiful, profound, straight love. When the deep feminine leader is rising, she leads her clients with momentum, with expansion. The deep feminine leader does not avoid any of the 4 life cycles of the feminine, 5 life cycles of the feminine, She does not avoid the death, the void, the rebirth, the new life, and the life. Over and over and over again. Life, death, void, rebirth, new life. Life, death, void, rebirth, new life. She knows that there are gems of wisdom in each place that she is destined to go and find and embody to distribute that wisdom to the collective. The deep feminine leader is out of integrity when she is attempting to lead as her rising self when she's actually in the void. She's bypassing the power that she would have received in the void. She's also bypassing when she's rising and she's not leading with that level of bravado. And the deep feminine leader says yes to the moment and moves from there. The deep feminine leader is not on anyone else's timeline. Pressure does not affect her. She is on her own timeline. She is in alignment with a timeline that feels true and right and perfect in her body. Because when the timeline that she's on feels good in her body, it'll feel good for everyone else. When the deep feminine leader rushes things, it doesn't feel good for anyone else. The deep feminine leader's embodiment sets the tone. Ask any of my clients who I've ever worked with ever what the energy is in my containers. I know so many of us have sisterhood wounds, have been fearful of entering groups of women because there have been bad or not great experiences in the past. But my embodiment sets a standard. So my embodiment attracts a certain level of power for the women who are ready to come into the space and who are a match for that perfect combination of love and power that I have. Love, truth, and power. And if for whatever reason, someone comes into the space who's not in alignment with love, truth, and power, maybe that's happening because there was a wobble in her embodiment. Maybe that's happening just so that she can rise even higher in her leadership, so that she can strengthen her boundaries even more. She lovingly releases this person. Lovingly. She refunds the person. She says, I'm sure you are amazing, and this doesn't feel like a match. The deep feminine leader isn't about just taking people's money and getting them in the room. In fact, I don't think she ever says the word get in the room. The deep feminine leader is more about, she says, get in your embodiment. That's what she says. Get in your embodiment. And if your embodiment is in alignment with my embodiment, or if your current embodiment is drawn and magnetized towards my embodiment, then you are so fucking welcome. My arms are so open. The deep feminine leader sets boundaries when she has to, but she doesn't lead with boundaries. She doesn't lead with the verbal boundaries. She touches on them briefly because they're necessary, but she doesn't get lost in them. Like, she's not focused on them because she knows that her embodiment is her boundary. Her embodiment is also her magnet. In my spaces, including in Deep Feminine Awakening and with every program I've ever led, the most important thing is the frequency and the coherence and the love in the group. If there is not coherence, power, and love, then something is not true. And something either needs to be addressed or rearranged. But always, the group feels fucking amazing. Like, the level of, the kind of woman, I don't even want to say level, the kind of woman who comes into my programs. People make lifelong sister friends coming into my programs. The women, I know some women in here can attest to that. Truly lifelong sisterhood friends. Because they're all feminine leaders. They are all powerful. It's like a wise woman council. It's a wild woman council, right? The deep feminine leader's embodiment sets the tone. So it's the Liberatrix's job and the deep feminine leader's job to continually go where others will not go so that she can touch the edge of aliveness and get the truth that the rest of the collective needs. She always goes where others will not go, whether that's within her own body, whether that's in her own life, whether that's in life situations. But she knows that it's her responsibility to be a freak. It's her responsibility to not be boring. It's her responsibility to continually grow. Even in her rest cycles, she is growing. So your deep feminine is the voice that is in the back of your head, at the bottom of your womb, in the core of your being, in the soles of your feet, in your heart, that says, there has to be something truer than this. I know that life gets to feel more beautiful. I know that there is something more for me. I know that I am something more. There has to be a better way. And that voice rises into deep feminine leadership by first entering through the gates of the Liberatrix. So once you hear that voice, you rise into the Liberatrix to break free from the illusion that you have to be in whatever situation you're in. And stepping into the deep feminine leader, after you fully embody the Liberatrix, you take it to the next level. You go all in. You lead with what you know to be true. You take the road that no one else has taken before. You go against the status quo. You go against the authorities' advice. You go against what makes sense to do the only thing that you would ever want to do anyways. You stop doing what you don't want to do, and instead you do what you were fucking born to do, and you don't let your doubt and your fear stop you. Because you're more powerful than that. Because the deep feminine leads no matter what. So I want to tell you all a few stories about deep feminine leadership. First one being how I first became a deep feminine leader. At what exact moment was that? And let's see, I think it was 2021. Yep, it was 2021. And, you know, my business had been growing at that point, but it was really slow. It was slow in the beginning. And I just remember feeling so fucking bored. Like I wasn't hitting my most potent spots. I wasn't speaking and writing from my most potent truth. And I was like, man, I know I'm so powerful. Like, why isn't my business reflecting that? Like, why am I not showing up as a leader? Why am I showing up as like a newbie when I'm really fucking ancient? Like, and I remember I'd been working with a business coach like for months, and she was amazing, and she taught me like the basics, like business 101, but I still wasn't really making that much money. And more importantly than that, my soul wasn't on fire. So one night I was sitting in my Sausalito condo, and I felt this fire emerge inside of my body. And it was the same fire that I felt all the other times that Violet rose up in my body. So I knew it was her. And she was like, are you ready for me? Same thing that she asked me when I first met her. But this time it was, are you ready for me to lead your business? Are you ready for me to hold your hand as you embody the most powerful version of your feminine leadership? Are you ready to become a deep feminine leader? And I was like, fuck yes. It was at the same point of just being so beyond done with the current situation, like a boredom so deep that it was almost deadly. And she came in and it was like, bam. And I was on fire for months after that. That night, I launched the first iteration of the Violet program called Violet. It was a program on the dark feminine. I called it the deep, dark, and holy feminine. So I teach on the deep, the light, and the dark, but this specifically was a course on the deep and the dark. Deep feminine awakening was just about the deep and the light and the dark, all three. Because the deep feminine contains poles from both the dark and the light. She holds all of it. That's why she's so powerful. But this course on the dark feminine, it was almost like no one fucking knew who I was. No one knew who I was before that. I mean, of course people knew who I was, but like, that's sort of what I became known for, was, oh, she's about the feminine. And I've always been about the feminine. I've always taught on the feminine, always, since the beginning of my fucking career. But I didn't have the confidence in the deep feminine leadership to teach on the feminine with that deep feminine leader energy, with the Violet energy. I was doing it from like the humble newbie energy, the sage on the top of the hill. And I love that vibe, right? Of like not meek, but like not controversial, you know, sharing deep truths, but not like screaming it from the top of the fucking rooftops. And Violet, she came through, and with her, I didn't even have to scream, actually. Her energy spoke football fields worth of information once I embodied her in my business. And that was my first 5-figure launch. And I got tons of DMs like, oh, you're dark, you're evil, you're talking about the dark. Like, because at that time in 2021, people weren't really talking about the dark feminine in the coaching industry. And now it's like a trend. And I think a lot of people misunderstand it. The dark feminine is not bad. She's not godless. She's not toxic. She's not wounded. And she's also not who you embody when you want to attract a man and be like a femme fatale. She's not any of that. The dark feminine is just one half of the divine feminine. The divine feminine has the dark feminine and the light feminine. And then the deep feminine is the fucking heartbeat beneath all of that. That is not only beneath all of that, but it contains all of that. It holds all of the feminine. And people rushed into that program, and it was just iconic. It was iconic. And literally, it was like a before and after moment in my career. After that, nothing was ever the same. That is what catapulted me to the track of being a 6-figure-a-year business owner. That year was my first quote unquote successful, like we all define our own success, but it was the first like financially substantial year in my business because I was owning my fucking power, because I got over my own bullshit, because I led with a bravado that all of a sudden made people say, who the fuck is that? And I said, I'll tell you who the fuck I am. I'm Megan Claire Hatfield, leader of Her Alchemy, teacher of the deep feminine, transformational women's coach, somatic alchemist, muse, artist. I'm many things. But so much about deep feminine leadership is really about letting go of the traits that you used to carry to keep yourself safe and protect yourself from criticisms and being misunderstood, and like to not step on anyone's toes, like letting go of all of that, because none of that is truth. And instead bravely embodying the you who fucking knows what's true. The you who is a natural fucking leader. The you who has embodied wisdom for days, for years, could fill oceans with your embodied wisdom. The you who was born to be powerful. And let me tell you, life gets so much more exciting when you give less of a fuck about rubbing people the wrong way with your deep feminine energy. The deep feminine is the leader who's so confident, and she's so, and by the way, confidence is embodied before it is felt. Like, it's the kind of thing where it's like it's a decision. First, it's a decision to be confident, right? Like delusional confidence, and then it's not delusional anymore. Then you're just fucking confident. But she's so like ovaries to the wall with her conviction, with her message, with her confidence. She's not hiding. She's not ashamed of who she is. She's not editing herself. And that's really confronting for some people. But that's okay. And on the other end of the spectrum, the deep feminine leader is also unaffected as to whether people are paying attention to her or not. There have been seasons of my business after embodying my deep feminine leader, Violet, in my business, where it's super fucking successful and there's like a tornado, like wave of energy and inspiration and everyone's listening and everyone's paying attention. And then there have been other seasons of my business, like if you're a business owner for years and years and years, this will happen. There have been other seasons in my business where I'm like, can anyone fucking hear me? And like Instagram's like, I get like 5 likes on my post. Like I go back and forth. Like that's the thing. The deep feminine isn't affected. She's going to say the same thing in all of those seasons. She's going to be the same her in all of those seasons. The people who are meant to hear her will hear her. And sometimes that's a large group of people, and sometimes it's a small group of people. And it's going to keep changing. But no matter what, she's a leader. And at some point, the world catches on. But she sees herself as a leader far before anyone else even knows that she's a leader. So I already saw myself as a leader before embodying my deep feminine leader in my business because of the things that I led myself through in my life. Some of which I've already told you about. But I've really led myself through so many things. Moments where I genuinely walked myself through hell, through the fire, to come back out on the other side as a reborn woman. I've led myself through nights where I was on my fucking knees praying to God to make it all go away. And walked that self into the self that is so fucking alive and happy and joyful and in love. Like the transformations that I've took myself through could fill novels, and I know that I'm not special there. I know that every woman here can say the same about her own life. And that's what makes you all leaders. So if this isn't the perspective shift that you needed, babe, then I don't fucking know what was. You are a deep feminine leader. And now, my invitation to you is to embody that. In your business, if you have a business, in your life, in your relationship. I want you to embody and rise into your queenhood next to your king or next to your fellow queen. I want you to be a queen in all areas of your life. Because I believe that a certain number of souls got sent here to help the feminine rise. Whether that's through being an incredible revolutionary mother who, yes, would die for her children, but also she will always put herself first because she knows that she cannot love if she's not loving herself. And she teaches her children deep truths about life that she never learned from her own parents. And she teaches her children to respect the feminine and to honor the feminine within themselves and outside of themselves. Or whether that's through being a public entrepreneur, a witchy business owner like me, and leading a whole ass movement that nourishes and helps and supports and liberates the feminine. Or through just being an extraordinary woman who, in every aspect of her life, regardless of whether or not she has kids, regardless of whether or not she has a business, is the embodiment of a queen. She reminds other women of who the fuck they are just by looking at her. So I believe that this group of souls got sent to the earth. And if you're here, you're probably one of them. Maybe not, but probably. If you feel it true, if you feel this to be true in your body, then it's true. And we were sent here to help resurrect the deep feminine. To help heal the feminine. To help elevate the feminine. I believe that the feminine is what will save this world. And notice how I'm not saying women. Yes, I believe women will save this world, but it's deeper than that. The feminine within every man and every woman will save this world. I love the masculine. We need the masculine. But everyone in here knows that the world right now is extremely unbalanced. It's so fucking masculine. And worse than that, what's feminine has been shamed. What's feminine has been taught to be rejected or made fun of. And this goes way deep, way deep. But for those of us who were born to be deep feminine leaders in our own unique way, know that we have a really important part to play in the rebirth, in the resurrection, in the revolution, in the rising of the feminine across the world. So who are you not to rise? Who are you not to go ovaries to the wall with your dreams, with what you know that you're meant to do? When one woman rises, we all rise. When one woman heals, we all heal. It's a domino effect. which is why I'm thrilled that there was like 70 people who signed up for LIBERATRIX, 53 of which are in this group. Like, imagine the domino effect that's about to happen. Because the liberatrix doesn't just liberate herself, she liberates everyone around her. So, another time that my deep feminine came out really strongly was when I chose to let go of my bullshit and let Charlie love me just as I am. After the first 5 months of dating, I briefly touched on this story already. I was feeling ill because I was living in a moldy apartment in San Francisco. I was worried that it was Lyme because at that point I had only been like 6 months out of that experience. It was not. It's not Lyme. It's mold. But before I knew it was mold, I broke up with him because I was so afraid to let him see me sick. I was more afraid of him seeing me while I was weak and sick and not my usual pretty happy self than I actually was afraid of anything else, than I was afraid of it being Lyme or not. That's how deep my intimacy issues were. I didn't even give him a chance to love me while I was down. So I broke up with him. And I almost lost him. I almost lost the love of my life. And during the months that we were broken up, I finished my book. And I also did so much fucking work on myself. And a lot of that healing was done through finishing my book. He was a chapter in my book. I called him, told him that he'd be in the book. He called me 2 weeks later after he read it, after the book was released, told me that he loved me and that he'd never let me push him away ever again. And that he wants me whether or not I'm sick or healthy or pretty or ugly or fat or skinny. He just loves me and that I don't have to be a certain way. It's just the woman that I am that he loves. And I was a deep feminine leader when I dropped my defenses and I let him love me. I was a deep feminine leader when, through my own embodiment, a year later, after getting back together, and him watching me lead this revolution that is her alchemy, he was inspired to transition out of the career that was not aligned with him and step into a career that was so much more aligned and that sets his soul on fire. I was a deep feminine leader in that, staying true to what I know to be true and leading by example and letting him rise into his kinghood. I always see him as a king, just like he always sees me as a queen. And it's just the standard that we set for our relationship. Intentionality is a huge part about being a queen in love. Like, what are your standards? What are your desires? Communicate those constantly. What are your fears? What are your needs? Just communicate. The deep feminine leader in love is not afraid that she will not be loved back. She just lets herself be loved. She opens her heart. And she leads by example. And she knows that what is meant for her will not miss her. Her king, her love will find her no matter what. So another really important time that I was a deep feminine leader was when I looked around the industry that I'm in, which is the coaching industry. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Everyone is just talking at each other. And everyone is talking about strategy, and we're all just sitting on Zoom, like staring at each other's faces and like listening to like, just like what this coach knows to be true. Like nothing, no real transformation was actually happening. in the many groups that I was in. And I was not seeing that from a judgmental point of view. I was seeing that from like a deep feminine laser vision point of view. I was like, wait, there's something wrong here. And what was wrong was that the masterminds that I was in, the group coaching containers that I was in, they were missing the pulse of feminine aliveness, feminine life force energy, erotic sexual energy, heart on fire, feminine divine energy, all things feminine. That's when transformation happens, because the feminine is life force energy. She is aliveness. She is color. She is fire. She is change. She's the thing that actually takes the information and creates something gorgeous with it, puts it out into the world, makes beautiful money, receives that money, and continues along the domino effect of like doing the same thing for her people, like teaching her wisdom, laced with life force, laced with feminine energy, right? Every woman has her own unique message. And I don't believe in this like structure of like just people being carbon copies of each other in the coaching industry. I think it's such bullshit. And I mean, honestly, yeah, that's a different conversation. But my deep feminine leader came through when she said, create the mastermind that you would have wanted to be in, that you wouldn't have like a few months in been like, oh shit, this is not good. And that mastermind was called the Source Mastermind. And the most iconic mastermind ever, in my opinion, in my unbiased opinion, in my very biased opinion. But it was iconic because it was focused on nourishing the woman behind the business versus just business coaching. Nourishing the life force of the woman behind the business, resourcing her nervous system, feeling her erotic pulse and inspiring her erotic pulse, inspiring her, plugging her back into her authentic, unique code, helping her with nervous system regulation, helping her with stepping her into her bad bitch, deep feminine energy. All of these things are actually what moves the needle in a woman's business. And not only was it my most successful launch yet, leading with this like feminine revolutionary vibe, the women inside became like soul family. I nourished them with my love and with my liberation, and the fucking quantum growth that happened with these women, not only in their businesses but in their relationships and in their lives, just took my breath away. It was so beautiful, and it continued to do so round after round after round. Source is one of the most beautiful things I've ever created, and I'm so proud of it. And that's been the standard for all of my programs thus far. Source was the next thing that I launched right after Violet. Like, I don't put something out into the world unless it came straight from God, unless I'd get on my fucking knees for what it represents, unless it turns me on, unless it has a heartbeat that is like even bigger than me. And that's Deep Feminine Awakening. Deep Feminine Awakening came through after me taking 2.5 months off of my business for the first time ever. I have never taken more than a week off in my many, many, many years of being a business owner. And I went through so much last year that at the beginning of this year, my body, heart, mind, and soul said, you know what? You have to take a break. You have to go into the void. Stop. You're on the hamster wheel. This isn't true anymore. Wait, come back, stop. So I let my programs come to a close. I made sure that my clients were all taken care of. I told them that I'd be back, and I was. We have a couple of them in Deep Feminine Awakening already. And I went on my own heroine's journey for 2.5 months of just sitting in the void and waiting, like letting everything that was not 100% true fall away. The deep feminine leader isn't satisfied with 99% true. She isn't satisfied with 90% true. She isn't satisfied, well, it's going to be fine. It's okay. It's the program that I should launch next that makes the most sense. And it should make lots of money, right? No, absolutely fucking not. That's never what it's been about. What makes the most money, actually, is the thing that's true, because people are starving for truth. People are starving for leaders who are in integrity. People are starving for leaders who are bringing them a message that is so fucking embodied, it feels like a breath of fresh air to receive. So I did the thing that the deep feminine leader always does, which is woman first, business second. It's always woman first. I took 2.5 months off. And I didn't launch something new until God told me to. I wandered off into the void, knowing that my business was about to have a beautiful, exciting, ecstatic rebirth, which is happening right now. And it's bringing tears to my eyes with how beautiful and destined and gorgeous and divine it is. I'm like, thank fucking God I listened to myself. Because had I not taken 2.5 months off and taken care of my woman, healed my nervous system, rested, tended to the move that I was going through, my husband and I just bought our new first house, and also just integrated all the shit that went on last year. And also I just needed a fucking break. Like, I don't believe in this whole thing where you have to be in your business constantly. That's so unhealthy. Nothing should be constant. The deep feminine leader leads in alignment with the cycles of nature in every area of her life, her relationships, her business, everything, which is life, death, void, rebirth, new life. So I led with integrity and I waited. Not waiting without power. I wasn't waiting for my power. While I was resting, I was in my power 1,000,000%. The only thing that I was waiting for was God to tell me, okay, go. I wasn't waiting for my power to return. I wasn't waiting for my inspiration to return. I had that. I was waiting for the divine to come through me and say, this is what you're meant to launch next. So the week after we moved into this new house, we have this like beautiful nook area upstairs. I'll send a picture of it. And I was on my knees on this white fur rug in front of this window that we have. And I said, God, I've done what you asked of me. I've emptied myself of everything that was not me. What would you like me to create next in my business? Because I'm ready. And words as clear as fucking day. It was the goddess who came in. When I say God, I'm talking about both God and goddess, the masculine and the feminine. I say mother, father, God. But specifically, the goddess came through so powerfully in this moment. And it was like a thunderbolt. I heard deep feminine awakening. I was like, holy shit. And like that, I downloaded the program, which is exactly how Violet came through. It's exactly how the Source Mastermind came through. Because it's true. The deep feminine leader doesn't settle for anything less than divine truth. I've been teaching on the feminine for years and years now. And Deep Feminine Awakening contains all of my deepest, most earth-shaking wisdom on the deep feminine. My clients in here can attest to that. That it'll change your whole fucking life. Because that's the way that I coach. I hold you with a level of intimacy that you've probably never experienced before. And I let you bloom. I put the right soil underneath you. I surround you with the right flowers. I don't tell you how to bloom. Flowers don't need to be told how to bloom. They just need the right light shown on them. They need the right deep, dark, and holy soil underneath them. They need the right flowers around them. And they just bloom. Deep Feminine Awakening is my 9-week Deep Feminine Leadership Embodiment Program for powerful soul-led women who know that they were meant to be revolutionary in their femininity, who know that what makes them feminine is what makes them powerful, who know their next edge is not by pushing harder or figuring out the next thing or doing another self-improvement course. No, it's to come back home into their body, into their womb, into their pussy, into their heart, and connect with their feminine fucking genius. Embody their queen. Dare to be the deep feminine leader that is calling them. So my loves, leading LIBERATRIX has been the joy of my life. Leading Deep Feminine Awakening is going to be the next joy of my life. I invite you wholeheartedly to participate in the Deep Feminine Revolution, to join the Her Alchemy world, to come on board on the Pagan Magic train and come play with us, come transform with us, come plug in to the deepest and most potent source of feminine energy that you have access to. Become the most magnetic, embodied, iconic, deep feminine leader version of yourself. Step into your queenhood and your life, your love, and your leadership. I fucking invite you in there at 47% off. That invitation is valid until next week, at which point the price will go up. And I'll launch it to the public. The 47% off price is $700. It's fucking insane for a 2-month program where all these things are included. The Telegram chat with me where literally I'm in your back pocket Monday through Friday with all of my potent ass feminine wisdom. You've experienced it over the last 5 days. But this is going to be much more personal, where I'm going to be holding you and make sure that you grow and transform and rise in your own life and step into your queenhood. But there's also like 9 immersive, gorgeous, sexy live calls where it's just fucking magical. Lifetime access to all the call recordings. I already dropped the things that we're going to cover in the course inside the thread here, like crazy, wild, impactful teachings on the deep feminine that will change your life forever. There's a payment plan where literally it's a no fucking brainer, where it's 2 payments of $375. Like, what the fuck? Like, duh. Or pay in full at $700. If you've been wanting to work with me, if you've been curious about working with me, join Deep Feminine Awakening, my love. It'll be the best decision that you've made in a really long time. And I can say that with confidence. And if you're a bougie bitch like me, I invite you into Deep Feminine Awakening VIP, where not only will you get everything that's inside of Deep Feminine Awakening and be inside of that deep feminine revolution that we'll be holding and writing on, but you'll also have a luxe, wild, transformational, beautiful VIP day with me at my gorgeous home in Austin, Texas. And if you've ever been to one of my VIP days before, you know that they're literally, and I try to not overuse the phrase quantum leap because I think it is overused, but every single woman who went to my last VIP day had an extreme like quantum leap in an extremely positive way immediately after. Like what, like it's not the transformational coaching and somatic work that I'm able to do in person. It's just, it gets turned all the way up. I have testimonials for that experience on the sales page. And that's $2,000 off for being in LIBERATRIX. So the VIP experience is 2 months of private mentorship with me, which alone I usually sell for $4K. A VIP day with me, which alone I usually sell for $1,500. And your Deep Feminine Awakening VIP sisters. Everything that's in Deep Feminine Awakening, which has over $5,000 of value within it, for $3,000. I'm going to offer you a payment plan that I just decided on today, because I think there's 1 or 2 people in here who want to do VIP but need a payment plan. So I'm going to create a payment plan of 2 monthly payments of $1,555. Insane. Fucking insane. And I couldn't be happier to offer this for you, because it's true. It's real. It's here. You're so invited into Deep Feminine Awakening, my love. All of these offers expire next week. DM me privately if you have any questions about it, or DM me right here in this group. And just know that nothing sets my soul on fire more than to know that I've liberated the fuck out of each and every one of you in at least one unique, potent way this week. I want to keep playing. Let's do this again. And I hope you join Deep Feminine Awakening. I hope to see all of you in there, honestly. I know that there will be a select group that is meant to be in Deep Feminine Awakening. But I hope every woman in here who feels that pull, that, ooh, what's that? Or fuck yes, that's made for me. Join Deep Feminine Awakening. I can't wait to keep walking with you and to keep making magic with you. Feminine magic. All right. Love you all.